Welcome to Here's the Deal, the show where we educate, elevate, and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. Let us tell your story through video. Hey everybody, what's going on? I wanted to clarify, what Here's the Deal really is in this episode. I want to get the message out there. Really, it's a podcast, but it's more than a podcast. I said we're trying to do several different things with this. We're trying to educate, elevate, and inspire. But I wanted you guys to know the why behind what I do. Again, it's not just a podcast with that like killing time or some kind of side hustle thing or whatever, right? The real reason why this show exists, okay, to break it all the way down. And I've said this on a few different episodes, and I've said this to my wife. A lot of people know this. I didn't grow up, let's say, in the nicest part of town. And, my mother was a single mother, right, raising 3 kids. And me being the biggest pain in the ass out of all 3 of them. And I really wish somebody would have come alongside my mother and just told her, said, look, Betty, you need to start a catering business, okay? She was just trying to do what she could do to survive. Plus, she had anxiety issues, things like that. She used to be a manager at a major semiconductor facility and things like that, but then got anxiety issues. So, things, life broke her down, but still the toughest person on the planet Earth I know. Never quits, never surrenders, never complains. Gave her whole life to raise her 3 kids by any means necessary. And that's the reason why I want to really inspire people to start businesses, okay, and to have the tools available. Because I really wish somebody would come alongside my mother and gave her the belief, gave her the knowledge, gave her the know-how to really, get something going for herself. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big, big reason why I do what I do. And I think that's a big reason why when I was in lending full time, why I came alongside the smaller businesses a little more. Everybody wanted to go for the elephants, and if it's not $1 million deal, I don't want to look at it. See, I resonate with the smaller businesses because I really want to see people succeed. I really want to see people put their kids through college. You know what I'm saying? I want to I always gravitated more towards the mom and pop businesses, I guess. And I, did multi-million-dollar deals and blah, and now that's great. And of course, we're hiring people, creating jobs. They're putting their kids through. I love doing all that. Don't get me wrong. Also, plus, didn't mind the compensation either. But at the same time, I really would like working with the smaller businesses. And that's why I like doing this show as well, because we're creating quality video content for them and we're getting their stories told. Okay. And putting their name out there. That's what gets me up in the morning. Like, who can I help today? Who's God going to put me in front of today? Okay. Then I can help out, with their business. All right. So, and there's a lot of people out there right now. Okay. They're facing career redirection. All right. You've been working. I was in lending for 30 years. Hell, I faced career redirection a few different times. And finally, I just said, to hell with it. I'm not trying to, put my name back in that hat and do the same thing, go back into the spin cycle over and over again. I said, this is my opportunity to use the gifts that God gave me. Okay. To tell people stories, to give knowledge. 30 years in, business banking. I have this knowledge I can give you guys. That was the other reason why. Another motivation to do the show was because I'm having these one-on-one conversations with people. I'd be telling them, if I could have got a hold of you 6 months sooner, you wouldn't be going through any of this. We could have developed a plan. And I always told my clients when I first met with them, they came to me with a need. I said, okay, that's great. I'd listen to them and I'd, feel everything out. But then I would tell them, look, I'm not a transactional guy. Okay. I don't do a one and done kind of thing. It's not really my thing. I play chess. Okay. So I'm thinking like 3 moves ahead. Okay. So I want to work with your business. We're going to work through this particular situation, but then I'm already planning step 2 and step 3. Okay. To meet your goals. Right. So that's another reason of the why this show exists, is so that way I can help people strategize. I get people connected with the right people. If you have a need in your business, you know what I mean? Because like I said, we're trying to stay front sight focused here, right? In the military, we have this term front sight focused. You got into business to be a mechanic or to be a chef or to be a fashion designer, CPA, lawyer, whatever. That's what you do better than anybody else. My job is to connect you with the right people to say, hey, there are people just like that Andy Stanley book, Next Generation Leader. It says there are people out there who love to do what you hate, pay them to do it. Love that philosophy. Okay. There's a lot of people out there that are experts in doing the things that you need for your business, but you just don't have time for. And I know when you're first starting out business, you got to wear all the hats, but you got to start delegating things as soon as possible. I don't care if it's with a VA. I don't care if it's with, delegating your social media to maybe, here's the deal, things like that. But that's something business owners, they need that knowledge, and they need to know that there's resources out there. And that's what this show provides. The show provides those resources. You can play it safe and work for the big company and this, that, and the other. But any day they can come along and say, you know what, we're restructuring the company. And I know there's people, I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through right now. And I know that there are people that are going to be facing this, whether they want to or not, whether it's from AI or could be anything. Okay. But when, the ivory tower decides that you're no longer necessary, then guess what? You're out of a job, and you could have put your whole life into that. And they're like, hey, if you're lucky, here's a severance check. Good luck. Or, you can turn that around. Okay. A setback in your career could be setting you up for your true calling. Okay. You're like, even like I said, when I've gotten laid off banks before, I'm like, what do I do now? Even doing this is like so 180 degrees from being in lending, right? Best thing I ever did. I love doing this. I love telling people stories. I love having guests on that tell me about their business and how they got started and the trials they went through, and how God got them through it or whatever. It's like, it's so fascinating. It's like, and it's, I love working with people, like that. So if you're out there right now and you're having this career redirection moment here like that, this could be the setup for your calling. Okay. This could be it. And with the resources that you have here on this show, with all the different business coaches and CFOs and COOs and, just from bookkeeping, accounting, the whole thing. Like, so, there's so many resources just on this show, the guests I've had this show. And if I haven't interviewed those guests yet, you need something, you call me, because trust me, I got the resources. You need something, I got it. All right. But here's the deal, right? I love the Denzel Washington speech of put God first, right? If you're going to start a business, I love what he says in this speech. He says, don't aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference, right? That's what I'm trying to do with this show. I'm trying to make a difference. I want people to hear your story. I want people to hear about your business. I want people to hear how you pushed through, you persevered, and used, your God-given gifts and made it. Okay. That's the one thing. I need to put my God-given gifts into action. Okay. Because like I said, I've had 1 million people when I was in banking. I'll be talking to them and they trust me with everything. They tell me their life story. I've done interviews with, the Secretary of State, former Secretary of State here in Arizona. I've done interviews with all kinds of politicians, and they're like, I don't know why I'm so comfortable talking to you. So that's the whole thing with the video marketing side, the easy, comfortable, cost effective. That's where I got, because I have testimonials, thanks to a lot of people that are giving me testimonials. They're like, he's just so easy to talk to. It's like two friends having a cup of coffee. And that's all I'm trying to do. I want a casual conversation, but I want you to tell me your story. I want you to tell me your passion. I want you to tell me the why, what's your why? Why are you doing this? And I want to hear about it, and I want to let the world know about it. I really, again, I got this. You're going to hear about that Denzel speech, put God first. I highly suggest you watch this. I try to watch this as often as I can because it gets me motivated. He says in that speech, okay, each one teach one, right? I think it's an old slave saying or something like that, or that thing goes back in history a long, long way. That saying goes back a long, long way. But each one teach one. Okay, we did this in the military. Okay, it was all about being mission first, right? And it was all about, hey, if I'm the NCO, I got to teach my privates, because if I don't teach the privates what it is that we're doing, if I get taken out or if I get promoted and I'm out of here, somebody's got to fulfill the mission, right? But with the each one teach one mentality, it's like, hey, I've been gifted. Okay, so now I need to pass that gift on to somebody else. The whole pay it forward. I like the each one teach one, but you can call it pay it forward, however you want to. You're just putting it back out there. It's like, hey, I made it. Here's how I made it. And there's plenty of pie out there, guys. There's plenty of pie. I know, like I said, there's a million people with podcasts out there. And somebody wants to say, hey, I want to start a podcast. How can I help? I'm all, hey, I'm all about, I want to help you. I want to help you start your podcast. If I can, great. Or like I said, I want to help you tell your story, but not everybody has, the creativity. Not everybody has the expertise to do the video editing or whatever. Like I said, God just gave me this, because trust me, it wasn't my jam. Okay. Everything I learned how to do video editing and stuff all came from God, right? Because you'd have told me, a couple of years ago, hey, you're going to be doing video editing. You're going to using B-roll and this. I mean, like, are you stoned? Are you high? There's no way. I'm a weapons guy. I did 2 combat MOS in the military. I was in banking for 30 years. What are you talking about video editing? Now I'm sitting there doing video editing. Oh, we can do this, that, and the third. I'm like, I'm using some AI tools, and I'm 54 years old. Okay. So, but some people showed me some stuff. They're like, hey, let me show you. They taught me. And now I'm trying to pay that forward. You know what I mean? So I want you to start telling your story. Okay. But I also want to help you create that video content. Like I said, so that way you can use it for your marketing. That way you stay front sight focused on what it is that you do. Okay. And what you do the best. We'll take care of the video stuff. We'll handle all that for you. I just did a 3-part series called Keeping the Main Thing, the Main Thing. In your business, you got to keep the main thing, because that's where the growth happens. Okay. That's where the growth in your company is going to happen. There's a lot of distractions out there, a lot of things that are going to distract you from your purpose. It could be a great money making opportunity, things like that. But go back and watch those episodes, because I get into this into a lot more detail. Kind of like I said, I want to help people start businesses, and give them the tools, because you may have a passion for something, but but you also have to know how to execute it and things like that. And that's why I hope my guests here on the show facilitate those needs. But if you're an existing business owner, I also want to help you too. Okay. Because once you get to a certain point, okay, you're going to get to a certain point where delegation is going to be absolutely critical, or else your business just isn't going to, it's not going to scale, and ultimately you got to start planning that exit strategy. You should start an exit strategy day one, have that goal in place, because I have done a million business acquisition deals where the guy I'm working with or gal I'm working with, they're like, oh, the owner wants X amount of dollars for this business. I'm doing this right now, where I got a side deal going on right now. As a matter of fact, they're saying, hey, the company's worth, X amount of millions of dollars, and it's not. And the tax returns don't show it. It's not on the balance sheet. And I'm sorry, guys, if it ain't there on the tax return, I don't give a shit how much you love this thing. I don't care. oh, this, that. It doesn't matter. It's what the bank will loan on the deal. I have had this conversation far too many times where, oh, the company's worth XYZ. No, it's not. I just did the valuation on it. It ain't worth half that. You know why? And I've done episodes on this too. I said, it's either pay me now or pay me later. Okay. If you want the bag at the end, if you want to build a business that's worth selling, if you want a business that's worth somebody else buying, okay, you can't take the owner's draws all the time. When you're first starting out, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. But when you get to a certain point, you got to put yourself on payroll. You got to show some income. You're going to have to pay some taxes. Okay. It's going to happen. Again, I covered that in one of my earlier episodes. I might do another episode on it again because it's been a while. But if you want this company to be worth anything, a couple different things. This is one thing. My coach, Eric Whitmore, he stressed to me, he goes, this company has to be able to run without you in it. That's the only way it's going to be sellable, because if your company is completely dependent on you being there every single day, making everything, then if I go to buy it, yeah, it may be worth XYZ millions now. Let's say even on tax terms, we agree on the price. But if you're the one driving the ship every day and you're not delegating, you don't have your office managers, you don't have your people in place, and you leave and I go in, right? Then it's not going to be worth that money because you're gone now. If you're a chef, you're the head chef of the restaurant, you don't have, and you got a bunch of sous chefs, but you don't have anybody that can do the menu like you. If I go buy your business and you leave, the quality of the food's going to go down. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't do this the way. So you have to be willing and able to build that business to get it to a point to where you could walk away for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and everything's still going to run fine. That's when you have a business that's worth buying. And that's when you have a business that's worth selling. And ultimately, that should be your goal anyway. Okay. Hey, do you want to work every single day of your life for the rest of your life? No, you didn't get into business to do that. But at the same time, like we talked about, like I said, have a business that's has a purpose. You know what I mean? But at the same, that purpose is, to provide for your family and to have a better quality of life. I really, again, I resonate with women starting business and people facing career redirection, maybe because, like I said, that's what's happened in my life. So I want to help people through those particular things. And again, I'm gonna tell you right now, you gotta watch that. Put God First video of Denzel Washington, because one of the things he says in it that I really liked, he says, fail big, right? I'm like, wow, that really hit me. It's not about making the safe move. Starting a business is not a safe move. Okay. Starting a podcast when you don't know video editing, you don't know this, you don't know scripting, but I did it. Okay. Like I said, by the grace of God, God provided me the tools, things like that to do this thing that I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? This is not a safe move. It's the bold moves that are going to get you somewhere. You could work for the man your whole life. Okay. And then all of a sudden he turns around and says, hey, turn the light switch off, grab your shit. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. All right. Then what? Maybe you got a nice retirement. Okay. Maybe you got a nice severance package. Okay. But sooner or later, unless you're, there, you can say, okay, I'm just going to retire. If you're there, great. But if you're not, then it's now like, now what? Now you're going to be that older guy or gal going to the new office. You're not the young buck anymore, things like that. Do you need that? Do you want to keep making somebody else rich? Or do you want to go into business for yourself and work for yourself? And the only thing you have to blame is yourself. You don't you don't achieve a goal that day. The only person you got to look is the person in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm accountable to me. I'm accountable to God. But something that doesn't happen, that's on me. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So I think sometimes, like I said, when that, these setbacks can create, fantastic opportunities. And that's the thing, when you're making these bold moves, man, there's a story there. Every business has a story. Either you've already gone through that storm or you're going through it now, you know, and that's the thing. I love to tell people stories about it. I'll tell you my story. I'll tell that to you. I do this on the podcast all the time, but I love to tell your story too. For people that are newer in business, you're like I said, you've maybe watched some episodes or you've listened to some other podcasts where I'm just going to do it, man. They got this thing in my chest that just won't let up. This for me, it just wouldn't let up. I told God, I asked God, take this thing away from me. If you don't want me to, if I thought it was me in my head. And I was saying, okay, God, if this is not your purpose, this is not your will, not your plan, take this thing away from me. Cause I want to do what you want me to do. I'm a believer. I know maybe everybody out there isn't. If you're not, then either turn the show off or, or we can have that conversation too. Not a problem. But at the same time, this is me talking. So I've asked God to take it away. It's like, or I've, been in a situation like, God, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about that. I don't have this. I don't have that. God's like, I got you. Trust me. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. The whole Gideon thing. 10,000 troops? Nope. 5,000 troops? Nope. 300 troops? Go fight. What? Excuse me? Read the book of Gideon. It's amazing, right? But you got to start something. Start a business with a purpose. Because those are the things that's going to drive you, because when you first start, it's like it's going to be a grind, man. You're going to be working those, 12, 14 hour days. You're going to need something other than, oh, this business can make a lot of money. A lot of businesses can make a lot of money. Money comes and goes. But what's the purpose? What are you doing? Are you helping somebody get to work? Are you a mechanic and you're helping a family be able to get, somebody get to and from work so they can provide for their family? Are you, a landscaper? Are you making somebody's home turn into the dream home that they want? Things like that. Are you a builder? Are you, whatever? Are you a chef? Are you people just enjoying your food? And people are coming from miles around because you're the best chef in town. Your food is amazing, and they bring their family, their friends. What's more rewarding than that, man? That's a purpose driven thing. That's what's up, man. Or whatever. Be that. You need resources. Okay. You're going to need resources to get through it. And you can avoid the costly mistakes. And that's again, this is the why behind the show. I want you to learn from the show, learn from the guests that I have on, whether it's, somebody that does, Google and Meta ads, because there's a time to do those and there's a time not to do those. And Google and Meta ads aren't for everybody. Okay. Especially when you're first starting out, because you could dump a bunch of money in there and get like zero ROI, man. So you got to know when, you got to know where and how to execute it. And I got the people that know when, where, and how to execute. All right. But if you're starting a business, you don't need perfection. You need a direction. And that's what this show can give you. Okay. That's why I purpose this show the way I do and have on the experts I do. Okay. So that way it can give you the direction on how to use AI tools properly, on how to use marketing tools properly, how to use video properly. Like I said, you get on with a great business coach, they're going to help you, navigate and see things that you don't see. Okay. Eric's talking about, 6 core competencies. We just did his show a little while ago. The 6 core competencies. I didn't have a clue what those were until I started working with them. All right. And like I said, I got so much out of, working with them just on those. It's like, whoa. Okay. But again, you are what you are. You're a commercial cleaner, right? You're, cleaning windows. You're, like I said, you're an accountant. Okay. You may not know these type of things. That's why you hire a business coach. Okay. That's why you get that outside help to get that information. Again, to the current business owners, you got to learn how to delegate. You got to free yourself up from the grind. It may be your passion and your joy and you love doing it. And I when I was in lending, full time, I love working with the people, I loved, going out and seeing businesses and doing all this stuff. And that was great, but it didn't allow me to, there was no way to scale that business. There was no way, if I was, doing that, I couldn't elevate it, move it up. I could make more money and more money, more money, but there's no, you could get into management or something like that, but it wasn't plus it wasn't my business. I wasn't building my own book. Like if you're, like say, working for an insurance, at least you're building a book of business, of clients, but you got to free yourself from that day-to-day grind. You got to learn how to scale those things. You got to learn, the delegation, or else, like I said, your business only goes as far as you. Okay. That's why you hire great people to do that work. That's what Steve Jobs was all about. You got to have the right systems in place. You got to have the right team in place. You're not going to, be able to scale your business without those tools, using video, using AI, using a different resource that you have available. And when you're developing, you got to start developing an exit strategy. Okay. Don't just work. You want to build something that you can that's transferable. Okay. And again, that's a big reason of what this show is all about. You have to be able to build a business that can run without you. So that way you can sell this thing off. I'm talking to business owners. I love hearing like what got them to jump in, man. I love when hearing them. Like I said, maybe it was that career redirection thing. Everybody just said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm done, going in the hamster wheel, man. I'm an accountant, but really my passion is painting or whatever, or woodwork or whatever. You know what I mean? Okay. Tell me about that. What is it, and you're going to face setbacks. It's going to happen. Okay. All businesses go through it. And a lot of people face those challenges and they're willing to say, hey, yeah, you know what? This sucked. We almost had to shut the doors, but we found a way to work around it, or we started working with the right people. I hired a business coach. I hired a fractional CFO to come in and take a look at the books and see where things were a little off, and we made these corrections because like the old saying, you're too close to the forest, see the trees. You can't, or, hey, maybe we're dumping a ton of money in marketing and not getting the ROI out of it. Good friend of mine owns a business. They're dumping money into paper ads and they were getting no return out of it. So you know what he did? He pivoted. Said, I'll pull that money out of there. And, we're working with them now to do more video content, things like that. It's like, hey, cause they realized, the video, the paid ads and the coupons and all that crap and those Sunday mails weren't working for them. So why spend the money? Why pour the money down that rabbit hole? But you're not going to know that unless you're working with somebody, unless you can, analyze, those particular things. So that's really, the whole educate, elevate, and inspire, right? That's the premise of this show. I want people to hear your story. I want people to know this is what got me started. This is how I got through, those low points and things like that. And then this is, kind of say, what got me over the top, because people need to hear that, because, people are out there going through the same thing, or they're already in business and they're hearing, Eric talk about, his stories, or I mentioned, Daphne from Modern Grind quite a bit. Cause like I said, school teacher to owning her own third coffee shop now is amazing. It's remarkable. I love it. Plus I love her coffee. Her and Brian are awesome. So, yeah, it's like, I love telling those stories. I love being a storyteller. I love being able to produce the videos that tell their stories. So that way you can see it, you can hear it too, and you can hear their passion for what they do. And it makes you want to, patron their facility, or it could say, you know what, man, if she could do it, I could do it. And that's what it's all about. And I try to do it in a way that, is cost effective. It's all about, being able to balance the overhead and things like that. And I don't have a ton of overhead, so I could charge a lot less than a lot of other people can. So I can give you good quality professional content I won't even call it a cheaper price. I'll just say it's more cost effective, rate. So, and I still make plenty of margin. So, because I'm able to control my costs a lot more, things like that. And this allows you to take that content and you put it out there on all your platforms. You can put it on, social media. You can use it in marketing, use it on your website, do whatever. Or like I said, if you want to hire me to do that kind of stuff for you, I can, definitely take care of that for you as well. The video content that we do builds that trust. It builds the credibility, and it builds the visibility, because like I said, people hear you and they see you and they know it's legit. They know it's real. You can have somebody on a commercial, whatever, doing all this, that, and the third. It's like, that, or you can, hear some of my guests and things like that. When they get on here, they're like, yeah, man, this is what happened. This is why I do what I do. And you hear that in their voice. You're like, that's the person I want to do business with. I want to do business with that person, or I want them helping me in my business, because they can hear, people know what's real, and even like, okay, there's a lot of AI tools you can use. And I use AI. To me, it's a tool. AI is a tool, like a hammer is to a carpenter, like a wrench is to a mechanic, like a good knife is to a chef. Okay. It's a tool. You can't use it for your marketing. You can't rest your entire marketing on AI. I'm sorry, because it's not you. It's not real. You can have all the input, do all that kind of stuff, but it's not going to tell your story the way you're going to tell your story. It's not going to, the reason why the house looks so good. Did the carpenter use the nail gun or did he use a saw? Yeah. But it was one controlling the nail gun or the saw or laying the tile, or, you know what I mean? That's why the house looks as good as it is, because of the passion behind it. Okay. Why does the food come out so good? Because of the passion of the chef that's using the knife, that's using the pans. That's why the food tastes a little bit better. You know what I mean? Don't aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference. It's when I create video for people, it's not about the views, it's about the value. Okay. Again, I can work for a lot of people, but I got to believe in what you're doing. Because to me, I do this for a living. Don't get me wrong. I get compensated. I'm not giving away my service for free. But at the same time, it's like, I want to help people. I want to hear that and feel inspired by your business. Like, yeah, man, that's something I can work with. That's I want to refer business to you. Like if I'm out and about doing my thing and I hear somebody, over, talking to us, I'd say, hey, you know what? I got somebody. That's the other thing about working with us. And here's the deal. If I'm doing your video content for you, you come on my podcast, it's not a one and done. It's not going to be a one and done. When people see me, they're going to see you. When people hear me, they're going to hear about you. Just like I've referenced other people, in even just in this show. Okay. When I'm out, I can't tell you how many times, I said, I've been in the locker room at the gym. And they're like, oh yeah, this, and I've given referrals out, whatever, to different services and stuff. Or, like I said, I'm in, whatever, at church or grocery store or whatever. I mean, if I, whenever I walk out of the door, I see dollar signs. I'm always seeing deals. I'm always seeing people I can work with. But also, I try to be that connector. I'm an Italian kid from Connecticut. So I've been networking before networking was cool. I had connections all over the place. I had connections in the city. It's like, hey, I got a guy. Forget about it. I've been doing that my whole life. I do that now. Anybody that knows me, ask them. I got a buddy of mine I used to work with in banking who's starting his own business. He's calling me up, hey, do you got an insurance guy? You know people over at the city I could talk to, this, that. And I gave him all different kinds of resources. And he's getting ready to start up, his own business. He was in banking with me, but he knew I knew everybody. So I was the first person he called. Hey, I need I said I need an insurance guy. I need this, I need that. I got you. That's what working with Here's the Deal does. Okay. It's not just, I'm going to shoot you some video or you're going to be on a show. Hey, nice talking to you. Have a great life. See you later. No, I'm here for you. And when people see me, they're going to see you. People hear me, they're going to hear you. And when I'm out doing my thing, if they say you're one of my people, I'm going to refer you. That's another benefit of working with Here's the Deal, So in closing, I just want to reaffirm the mission of Here's the Deal. Okay. We're here to educate, elevate, and inspire. We invite business owners and entrepreneurs to share their stories. Okay. This is the platform to do it. We know everybody has a story to tell. Let us tell it for you. Here's the deal. Here in closing up the show, and Here's the Deal, just want to give all honor, glory, and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ, who, saved my soul and gives me the ability to do this show. Without him, I couldn't do anything. Also want to give thanks to my family. My wife, my kids support me doing this and, backing me up. I couldn't do any of this without them also. Got to thank the sponsors, of course. Everybody that, supports the show. And, of course, the fans, the people that subscribe to the show. I wouldn't do any of this without you because it wouldn't be a show. So just want to say thank you all very much. Continue to, educate and elevate. Get out there, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams.